All right, let's jump right in. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going on this really structured but honestly totally fascinating journey into the human psyche. We are going to be looking at a specific concept from Vedic astrology, Rahu in the ninth house. But really, what we're unpacking here is a psychological phenomenon that pretty much all of us have felt at some point. It's that internal friction we get when ancient tradition meets our own restless modern curiosity. If you've ever felt like the established rules of the world were just, I don't know, a rough draft waiting for your revisions, well, you are absolutely going to love this. Have you ever felt like inherited wisdom belongs to a tradition you just can't blindly follow? Think about that for a second. It's a pretty powerful thought, right? And we've literally all been there. You get handed this neat little box of beliefs by your family, your culture, or your school, and instead of just nodding along, a little voice in your head goes, yeah, but why? And as we'll see in the source material today, this isn't just about being stubborn. This is a profound, innate urge to cross established intellectual boundaries. It's the hallmark of a true explorer.
Section 1. The collision of two forces.
So, first up, we have the ninth house. In astrology, this represents faith, philosophy, higher learning, religion, ethics, long-distance journeys, and that lifelong search for meaning. Basically, it's the ultimate traditional container for truth. It's the framework for how we understand the world way beyond our own day-to-day lives. Think of it like a grand ancient library of human wisdom where all the rules, doctrines, and moral codes are perfectly organized. It's supposed to be our safe harbor.
And then there's Rahu. If the ninth house is that quiet, super-organized ancient library, Rahu is the brilliant, totally restless energy that walks in and immediately starts questioning the entire Dewey Decimal System. In Vedic astrology, Rahu represents ambition, curiosity, obsession, innovation, disruption, and this just relentless desire to cross boundaries. It constantly and obsessively searches for what lies just beyond accepted limits. It's basically the cosmic innovator that absolutely refuses to be fenced in. So the real magic happens when these two forces smash together. Because of this combo, inherited beliefs rarely remain unquestioned. Familiar doctrines suddenly spark curiosity instead of just providing cozy certainty. A person with this placement naturally starts wondering, do these ancient teachings actually answer today's questions? Under this influence, literally every single rule quietly becomes an open invitation to examine another possibility. It's not about burning down the rulebook. It's about asking, okay, what else is out there?
Moving on to Section 2, the protest personality. This protest personality usually shows up pretty early in life. It often starts with its early dissatisfaction with rigid religious structures or unquestioned authority. For these folks, family traditions can feel incredibly limiting, almost suffocating, honestly. Even formal education often feels incomplete to them, like the teachers are giving answers that leave the absolute most important questions totally unanswered. But here's the cool part. Rather than just giving up on learning, this personality just packs their bags and begins searching elsewhere. Let's just pause here and let this sink in. What gives someone the right to define truth? This question is essentially the core operating system of this mindset. They challenge the very concept of certainty. Can wisdom even exist without massive institutions dictating it? Does personal experience actually outweigh ancient tradition? Their protest doesn't come from disrespect, right? It comes from a deep conviction that truth should be a living, breathing thing, not just frozen in time by someone else's authority. And because they're asking these massive questions, they become the ultimate lifelong explorer. They study multiple religions, travel extensively, learn foreign languages, and immerse themselves entirely in unfamiliar cultures. They are actively out there looking for the common threads. They love introducing totally new perspectives into stale conversations, which really turns them into bridge builders. They genuinely enjoy comparing traditions and finding the overlaps, rather than just defending one single worldview. But it's not all smooth sailing. Let's look at Section 3, the shadow of endless rebellion. Every brilliant placement has its shadow side, and here, it's the trap of endless rebellion. If you aren't careful, this incredible drive for exploration can become undirected and, well, a little dangerous. The text warns us that curiosity can slowly become rebellion without direction. This happens when you start rejecting traditions simply because they are traditional. Suddenly, every teacher is just someone to argue with. Over time, just being unconventional becomes an emotional crutch. It feels good to be the rebel, sure, but when that happens, the genuine search for wisdom just turns into a toxic attachment to endless, aimless alternatives. Which brings us to a real crossroads here. Genuine exploration versus constant rebellion. Genuine exploration means you remain open to learning from every single source. You find value everywhere. Constant rebellion, on the other hand, means you reject valuable guidance before you even try to understand it. Now, both paths question inherited beliefs. Both refuse blind faith. But the key difference? Genuine exploration deepens your understanding, while constant rebellion just endlessly postpones it. So I've got to ask you this central psychological question. Are you expanding wisdom, or are you resisting authority because resistance has become part of your identity? It's so incredibly easy to fall in love with the romance of being a rebel, but if every destination just reveals another horizon, and you never actually stop to learn anything deeply, you're not exploring anymore, you're just running. All right, our final section. Section 4, cultivating wisdom and discernment.
So how do we harness this? Depending on how you manage this energy, you get two very different outcomes. A balanced Rahu gives you intellectual courage, global awareness, and philosophical openness. You can perfectly connect ancient wisdom with modern realities. But an afflicted Rahu, that undirected rebellion, that produces spiritual confusion, ideological extremism, and this endless searching for sensational beliefs that have absolutely zero depth. To hit that balanced state, the source text lays out 3 actionable steps for conscious exploration. Step 1, expand wisdom, but do it with humility. Just admit you don't know everything. Step 2, question authority, for sure, but without rejecting genuine guidance from people who have walked the path before you. And step 3, embrace diversity, but do it without losing your own inner direction. True growth isn't about opposing every tradition, and it's definitely not about blindly following every new trend either. I absolutely love this quote from the text. It says, "Truth grows wider when we explore courageously, yet deeper when we learn which discoveries deserve lasting trust." It really hits the nail on the head. Freedom and curiosity are amazing, but they absolutely require the anchor of discernment. Curiosity only really matters when you can tell the difference between a shiny new idea and something that is actually profoundly true. We've covered a ton of ground today looking at this friction between tradition and disruption. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. You've wandered, you've questioned, and you've explored. But which of your discoveries finally deserves your lasting trust? What's the wisdom you are finally willing to anchor yourself to? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, definitely keep exploring, but don't forget to occasionally drop anchor. I'll see you next time.